Welcome to Who Won the Week, your weekly dose in sports and advertising.
I'm Mike Shields of Next in Media.
And I'm Matt Ulrich, media analyst at EDO, the TV Outcomes Company.
All right, Matt. So the Super Bowl matchup is set. Kind of an unbelievable couple of championship games this past weekend. I think the league must be pretty much thrilled. I mean, perhaps they wanted Detroit for the Cinderella story, but you got the historic team in San Francisco, and then you got the budding dynasty in Kansas City, and everyone, and you have the Taylor Swift factor, the Kelce factor, the everyone loves Mahomes factor. It's going to be. The ratings are always tremendous, but I think it's probably as good a matchup as you can get. You're going to get some probably extra folks there. And it's pretty interesting to see, you're starting to see some indications of where commercials are going to be going, where advertisers are going for the Super Bowl and what's coming next. One thing that stuck out to me, did you catch the crazy Carnival ad right before the Detroit game that was a like mixed reality thing that made the field look like a giant cruise ship and Shaq was talking?
I did. I didn't actually see it before the game myself, but then people had pointed it out to me in the group I was watching the games with. Went back and saw it later, and then you get the Shaq. They kick it over. The announcers, Kevin Burkhardt kicks it over. Like, well, let's go over to the field, or is it a field? And then Shaq does the full Carnival Cruises, and they have the Celebration Key, which is their new product, I guess, which is like this exclusive like key-like resort that kind of looks like Disneyland in terms of the colors and activities, and that's opening actually summer of 2025. So they're really trying to build the hype
Way out in front,
right
yeah.
now in advance of, I guess, a year and a half in advance of the first visits to Celebration Key. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of things. I was wondering, what did that cost, and how do you measure it? It's you're going to get the like novelty factor, and it really stands out. And they owned it was it was airtime essentially during the game. It wasn't really a commercial break, and it was pretty visually stunning. I wonder that if we're going to see a lot of that, or that's something that you're only going to see every so often because it's a special high priced high ticket tentpole event, but pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, it felt very one of a kind. I'm glad they did it, and there's more of this mixed reality. I know the viewers have mixed feelings about the mixed reality stuff, but I think everyone's going to get used to it, and it does really catch people's eye. I know that at EDO, right, we're measuring spikes in search engagement that brands are driving with these ads, and I don't think we've done the full analysis of that spot. We can see a visible spike in
Yeah,
search engagement that we just need to quantify on
yeah.
our end for Carnival. What we can say that we saw in the game, so Carnival ran a spot a little bit later, a 15-second spot with Shaq during a commercial pod, and that commercial generated 22% more search engagement for Carnival than the Royal Caribbean Icon of the Seas spots did. I think during that same game, and both of those search engagement numbers that EDO have, those are large numbers. So
Huh.
they both spots did really well, and they probably built off each other. But you have the Icons of the Sea for Royal Caribbean, which just launched out of Miami this
It's just
past
an
weekend, and the
enormous
end
cruise
card
ship. Looks
is
crazy. Yeah.
looks crazy. And then you have Carnival fighting back with a future product, which is, hey, if you take our cruise, you get access to this exclusive celebration
Right.
key, and that's starting next year. So we saw, I feel like this like battle play out a little bit within the game, and then really, I'm sure the brands helped each other
Yeah.
by making by making cruises a center of attention.
Yeah. It's funny. Like the cruises got had a tough time during the pandemic, and now they're really coming out swinging with these huge advanced ships and big campaigns. And I wonder if the mixed reality thing helped drive attention for both of those ads. What else? What else do we know about the Super Bowl is going to be? We're 2 weeks away. We're starting to see some teasing work and some hype around certain campaigns. We know a little bit. What else do we know about?
Well, within that category, just to stick there for a sec, no advertisers have announced within cruises that they're going to be in the Super Bowl. The only advertiser, even in the travel space, that we can see that is announced for the Super Bowl is Booking.com. I think they were in the Super Bowl last year, but that space has been quiet. And then you're kind of thinking around. I know a lot of beer advertisers have announced, but we were looking also. I don't think State Farm has announced for the Super Bowl either. And State Farm had that spot. during one of the championship games on Sunday, where it's Arnold Schwarzenegger is Agent State Farm
Right.
coming soon. So
Right.
the speculation coming that is okay, coming soon. This is 2 weeks before the
But
Super
that
Bowl.
doesn't mean
It
April.
must be a Super Bowl
Yeah.
spot, but is it going to be a Super Bowl spot? We haven't gotten confirmation, but that's the speculation. Um, I think in the industry.
Right. And I'm sure you're going to see any advertiser, including State Farm and others. You're going to see Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and Kelce. Probably 10 times during that game. I'm imagining they're all going to be there. The synergies are
Yeah,
just too good to pass up.
that's such a good question for State Farm, right? And we looked at the metrics for this Arnold Schwarzenegger spot, and it's hard to tell in this specific case whether it's the intrigue of it or if it's actually flowing into brand consideration and
Yeah.
awareness and favorability. But the Arnold Schwarzenegger spot generated at least 50% more search engagement for State Farm than I think it was the Mahalo or the Auto spot right afterwards. So there's another State Farm spot
Wow.
right after, and this spot generated 50% more search engagement for State Farm. So it obviously captured the attention of viewers. And then State Farm, if they are running in the Super Bowl, I guess, then it's a question of what do they do given the context of Kelce made it,
Yeah.
Andy Reid made
Do you
it,
do something
and
totally
then you
different, or stick with the weird, the crazy synergy of the actual team in the game? Yeah, that's a
have
tough
they already
call.
committed to it? I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Yeah.
Maybe they buy two Super Bowl spots. Who
Yeah,
knows?
how do you throw away something brand new, even though you've got the Chiefs in the game? They had to hedge against them
Yeah.
maybe not making it, so you might be right. What about other categories? Who are you seeing? Beer? Are we going to see some more big spots there? There's traditional. Is the beer wars have been intense in the last couple years? They're always traditional big Super Bowl brands.
Yeah, so EDO publishes a ranker of all Super Bowl ads by relative search engagement that all of the Super Bowl ads have generated for their brands. We published that the next morning. Every year, and we're going to do that again the morning after the Super Bowl this year. Last year we saw a bunch of these ads. I think the Michelob Ultra ad last year stood out where viewers were almost 40% more likely to engage with Michelob Ultra after that ad than the average Super Bowl ad. So you have Michelob Ultra, and they used some celebrities. Maybe it was Brian Cox last year. So they used celebrities. They had success, and then this year they are going to run a spot with Lionel Messi
Okay, cool.
um, in the Super Bowl, and I think they've previewed the spot, so I'm not sure how that'll play out into the excitement factor. The preview strategy versus the surprise people in the moment, but they're building on success from last year, and now adding Leo Messi is probably a bigger celebrity than they may have had in the past.
Yeah,
So I think from the beer category, Michelob Ultra is interesting to us.
somebody with global appeal, which I think is pretty interesting. You
True.
think of
Yeah.
American beers, not always translating overseas. Last thing I'm wondering about is, do you think we'll see? There's always typically a couple of big movie trailers or big entertainment spots. We're coming to this moment where there's not as much content coming our way because of the strikes recently. I wonder if we know anything about who's going to hit entertainment wise.
That's a good question. Um, yeah, I haven't heard much about the movie trailers. You know what? Maybe we put a pin in that
Yeah,
for next week's episode. I know we're gonna do like our final Super Bowl preview
yeah. So
then,
maybe we'll
and
know a little
and
more at that
we'll
point.
come right back to movies for that one.
All right,
But
Matt.
do you have any speculation, Mike?
No, I'm wondering. This it's there. There's not a lot of there's not a lot of big Marvel movies this year, but I'm wondering if we
Yeah.
might see like a Deadpool 3 trailer come around. If
Okay.
it's too early, that's something. That's one that's on my mind. I'm wondering about big
Interesting.
shows. I'm not sure. Matt, where can folks find out some more info?
EDO.com for more info.
All right, Matt. Thanks a lot. We'll talk soon next week.
Thanks, Mike. Good talking.